Have you ever wondered how quickly an airport can reopen after a hurricane levels an entire region? The answer might shock you. In this video, we're going to break down the complete step-by-step timeline of airport reopenings following Hurricane Melissa. From urgent emergency relief flights to the gradual return of commercial service, and finally, the full restoration of normal operations, you'll discover exactly what happens, why it matters, and how it impacts not just travelers, but entire communities and economies. By the end, you'll have a behind-the-scenes look at disaster recovery few people ever see. Hurricane Melissa struck Jamaica on October 28, 2025, and it was a storm unlike any other in recent history. Sustained winds reached a staggering 185 miles per hour, making it one of the most powerful hurricanes to hit the island in decades. Power grids collapsed, roads were washed away, airports closed, and thousands of residents were forced to evacuate. News outlets across the globe chronicled the devastation, emphasizing the urgency of restoring critical infrastructure. Among the most crucial of these infrastructures were the airports. Airports are more than just hubs for travelers. They are lifelines for emergency supplies, relief teams, and the rapid movement of goods and people. The timeline of reopening these airports provides a remarkable story of priorities, resilience, and hope in the face of catastrophe. Let's unpack this journey together, step by step. To fully understand the process, we can divide the reopening into three distinct phases: the immediate relief and emergency flights, the gradual resumption of limited commercial service, and the final phase, full operational restoration. Each phase comes with its own set of challenges, strategies, and stories of resilience. In the immediate hours after Hurricane Melissa passed, the first and most urgent priority was to get relief flights in the air. The Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston, despite the storm's ferocity, was surprisingly resilient. Officials reported that, although there was some superficial damage, the airport's main runway and key facilities remained largely intact. By October 29, less than 24 hours after the hurricane had passed, Norman Manley was cleared for emergency operations. Relief flights carrying medical supplies, food, water, and first responders began arriving by the afternoon, signaling the very first steps toward recovery. Meanwhile, in the western part of Jamaica, Sangster International Airport in Montego Bay faced a more difficult challenge. The hurricane inflicted heavier damage here, roofs were torn off, runways suffered flooding, and several support facilities were rendered temporarily unusable. Despite this, by October 30, emergency crews had cleared sufficient areas to allow relief flights to land and take off. Airlines, including American Airlines, were quick to coordinate special flights, bringing in essential supplies. This phase is critical because without immediate relief flights, the damage would remain isolated, aid delivery would slow, and thousands of vulnerable residents could be left without access to essentials. It's a high-stakes, all-hands-on-deck effort where every hour counts. But what marks the transition from emergency operations to commercial service? That is where Phase 2 begins. Once airports are structurally assessed and deemed safe, the next step is a carefully controlled resumption of limited commercial flights. At Norman Manley International Airport, the shift from relief-only operations to accepting paying passengers was remarkably swift. By Thursday morning, the day after relief flights began, commercial operations resumed. Airlines coordinated with local authorities to ensure passenger safety, verify runway integrity, and confirm that essential services like refueling, ground transportation, and customs were operational. Sangster International Airport, however, required a more phased approach. Relief flights continued for a few days while teams assessed the damage. Only after a thorough inspection of the runways, radar systems, and other critical infrastructure did limited commercial flights resume. This highlights an often overlooked aspect of disaster recovery. Airport reopening is not a simple on/off switch. Every operational component, communication systems, logistics, power supply, and access roads must be fully functional before passengers can safely travel. Why does this matter? Beyond just getting people back in the air, limited commercial service signals the beginning of economic recovery. Tourism, a lifeline for Jamaica's economy, starts to flow again. Stranded travelers can finally return home, cargo can begin moving, and businesses can reconnect with global partners. Yet, even when flights resume, it is only a partial return to normalcy. Roads may still be impassable, hotels may be damaged, and airlines may operate on reduced schedules, creating a fragmented recovery experience. The final phase is full operational restoration, when all major airports are back to standard service, infrastructure is repaired, and flights are running at pre-disaster capacity. For Jamaica, this meant more than just reopening runways. Sangster International required extensive repairs, including roof replacements, interior refurbishments, and flood mitigation on surrounding grounds. Even after the first relief flights touched down, full passenger service was suspended until these repairs were completed. Airlines also play a crucial role in this phase. Official statements from carriers such as American Airlines emphasized that full service would resume when conditions allow, which depends not only on airport readiness, but also on the wider transport network, roads, accommodations, and support services. Full restoration enables supply chains to function normally, cargo flights to operate efficiently, and the local economy to regain momentum. This stage is about more than just reopening doors. It signals a transition from emergency mode to business as usual. It communicates stability to investors, restores confidence among residents, and demonstrates that recovery is tangible. Yet, even as airports return to full service, challenges remain. Here's the twist that many people don't realize. While airports may reopen for relief flights within 24 to 48 hours, achieving full commercial recovery often takes weeks or even months. In Jamaica, Manley International reopened swiftly for both relief and limited commercial flights, but Sangster International and other regional facilities required far more time due to deeper structural damage. This discrepancy created a significant geographic imbalance. Residents and businesses in Western parishes faced extended isolation, slower access to relief, and delayed economic activity. Reopening an airport headline might give the impression of normalcy, but reality tells a different story. Travelers often face ongoing delays, limited schedules, and disrupted connections. Infrastructure in surrounding areas, roads, power grids, and hotels may still be impaired. News reports from the time highlighted hundreds of travelers still waiting for flights, emphasizing that reopening is merely the first chapter of a much longer story. In essence, the true measure of recovery isn't just a flight taking off. It's the return of a fully functioning ecosystem. Airports, airlines, ground services, hotels, roads, and local commerce all operating together. Only then can a region truly claim to have recovered from a catastrophic event like Hurricane Melissa. The airport reopening timeline after Hurricane Melissa demonstrates a carefully structured and phased approach to disaster recovery. Immediately following the hurricane, emergency relief flights are prioritized. These flights carry essential supplies such as food, water, medical equipment, and personnel to stabilize affected communities. They are critical not only for addressing urgent humanitarian needs, but also for restoring a sense of security and hope among those impacted by the storm. The coordination of these flights requires precise logistics, collaboration between government agencies, airlines, and humanitarian organizations, and rapid assessment of damaged infrastructure to ensure safe landings and takeoffs. Once emergency relief operations are underway and essential support has reached the affected areas, the focus gradually shifts to limited commercial operations. This phase allows the airport to reopen partially, accommodating essential travelers, business personnel, and returning residents. These limited services help revive economic activity, support local businesses, and reconnect communities with the broader region. Airports act as lifelines, enabling commerce, tourism, and communication to resume even amid ongoing recovery efforts. The final phase is full restoration, signaling that the airport has returned to regular operations and that the surrounding infrastructure, logistics networks, and local economy are on the path to normalcy. Full reopening reflects the culmination of coordinated recovery efforts and serves as a symbolic and practical marker that life is steadily returning to routine. It highlights that while reopening a single airport is a vital milestone, true recovery is far more complex, touching every facet of society, from daily routines to large-scale economic systems. If this deep dive into disaster recovery and airport reopening after Hurricane Melissa gave you a new perspective, please like this video and share it with someone who loves behind-the-scenes insights into global events. Subscribe for more updates on major events and timelines like this one, and let us know in the comments which phase surprised you the most: the lightning-fast emergency reopening or the slow, intricate journey to full restoration. Your thoughts are invaluable, and I can't wait to hear them.